Hey y'all, this is Trent Knox with the Trent Knox Show. This is Talking Shop featuring Patrick Harney, episode 70. In this episode, we're going to talk with Patrick about his development in being an actor, some of his singing career, and some of the stuff that he's got going on YouTube that I think is actually pretty unique and pretty cool. So without further ado, this is Patrick Harney. If you want to say hello to the viewers and the listeners abroad, Patrick.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. I appreciate taking the time, and I look forward to talking with you guys.
Cool. So you've got a lot of the unique stuff going on, a lot of different projects. I saw you got a project coming out called Scapegoat pretty soon. Tell me a little bit about that. How did that come about?
Yeah, so Scapegoat is actually a film that we've already filmed it. It's in the final stages of post-production, and yeah, so that will be coming out. I think as of now, it'll be coming out toward the end of the year, or maybe at the top of the year. But we when we shot that, I jumped on it pretty early in the process. I saw the casting call on Facebook actually,
Oh, cool.
and so I reached out to the director and the writer, and I said, hey, I'd like to audition for, and I auditioned for two different roles, the one that I ended up playing, and then another one of the leads, and yeah, so we shot or at least I should say I shot an audition tape, sent it to him, and I got to talking with the director, and yeah, and the more ideas he had, the more ideas I had. They started to kind of match up a little bit, and yeah, and we just got on really well. So we started filming that, and Scapegoat is about this group of people that they all wake up in the middle of the woods. They don't know how they got there. They are all wearing the same clothing. They each have a different marking on their arm. Some of them know each other, some of them don't. And they come to realize that there's this connection that they all have to each other, but they don't know what that is. And so while they're trying to figure that out, they're being hunted at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, so it's just a cool psychological thriller that kind of takes you on a ride. There's some good fight scenes, and there's some good comedy in it too. And yeah. So I'm excited for that to come out.
Very cool. All right, so let's take a step back. Where did you get your inspiration to start acting from?
Well, it started in 8th grade when a friend of mine had said, hey, you should go out for the musical. I didn't. I was a sports guy. I was playing basketball and all that stuff. I said, nah, I don't really want to get into that.
Mm-hmm.
But she kept saying, no, you should do it. You should do it. You should really try, at least audition. And so I was like, okay, whatever, sure. So I went and auditioned. And the song that I chose to sing was Santa Claus is Coming to Town. So that's how that's how little I really cared about the audition. And I actually did pretty well, and better than I thought I was going to. And then they offered me one of the lead roles, and so at that point, I tried to make every excuse to not do the show. It was during basketball season and stuff, and they said no, we'll work with it. So yeah, so once I started doing that, that was when I kind of fell in love with it, and I did every single show every year after that. And then yeah, and then I got to college, and I did a local community theater show. But then I started meeting some film people at MSU, Michigan State University, and started getting involved with that and some of student films and short films and such. And and I knew that I wanted to make a transition over to film anyway, but but I didn't really know how to do it, and I kind of saw that as my avenue to go ahead and make that turn. So
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, so I've been doing it ever since, and I'm trying to get better and better and work more and more.
So what is So at MSU, you started to get into both behind the scenes and in front of the camera, or just in front of the camera?
Mainly in front of the camera. I was learning some things about the behind the scenes stuff,
Mhm,
but my goal wasn't really to do much behind the camera yet.
mhm.
Whereas now, I've started to produce and I've started to help write, and so at the time I mainly wanted to focus on acting, and that's still my main focus. That's still
Mhm.
my number one thing. But yeah, and it was cool. I'm a big observer, so I love to, when I'm on sets, I love to just watch, you know, all the different crew members and how they work, and I like to watch the interactions between everyone to see, well, why is that light going there, or why is the camera going to be set up here, and just stuff like that, to kind of learn, just learn as much as I can, so I can open as many doors as I can.
And while you were at MSU, you were studying acting, or you were studying something else?
Yeah, well, it was technically media and information, and my focus was in film.
Okay.
So a lot of it was some of the technical sides of things, and um, you know, but mainly it was, a lot of my acting stuff was more on my own,
Mhm,
because it was for MSU. They didn't really have a screen acting class or anything like that. It was all theater stuff, and I knew I didn't really want to do much of that anymore, or at least for the time being. I mean, I'm sure I'll go back to the theater, but
mhm,
for now, I just want to focus on film.
mhm.
So yeah.
So, what was your first experience like auditioning for a film role?
My first experience um, it was actually for a film at MSU. They had this program. It was called the Theater to Film program,
Mhm,
and what they would do is they would write a play. There would be a class that writes a play. They cast it, they perform it, and then they have another class that translates that play into a screenplay, and then they shoot a movie.
mhm,
Well, it was a full length movie. That's what I got involved in, was the movie side, and yeah, and I just did a quick audition. I showed up. They told me, hey, would you be willing to come read for this? After I showed interest in it, and I said sure. And so I showed up to one of the Com Arts buildings, and went into a room, read the sides that they give, and yeah, and they gave it to me on the spot. Granted, that does not happen very often,
mhm.
as in that's not normal. It was just a student film thing, and they needed to fill the role. So um, normally, the audition process goes, it's a lot more grueling, and it's a lot more cutthroat. You show
Mhm.
up, you're in there maybe 5 minutes, and all right, see ya. If we want you, we'll contact you, and you're kind of left hanging for a while. You don't know what's going on, um, until you either see that role had gotten cast or they call you. So yeah, so that was my first experience.
Cool. What was the main difference between auditioning for a theatrical play and a on-screen talent position?
Um, I actually like the audition process for film a lot better, because with theater, or at least what I've come to find, especially specifically musical theater,
Mhm,
is they you pick a monologue that you have to read yourself, when you show up. So you got to practice, 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 memorize, and then show up and do it and perform a monologue. And then afterward, generally, what they'll do for musical theater. Granted, I haven't auditioned for Broadway or anything like that, so it could be completely different. But what my school did was, they'd bring everybody in the room, or in a room, and they would teach you a part of one of the songs that everybody's going to be auditioning with. That one of the songs is in the show, and so
mhm,
then you have to come in and you have to perform that song, well, part of the song, with a pianist, and kind of go from there. So it's a lot longer process. Whereas film, you just, you may get the sides a week before, or a few days before, and then you show up, and you have the sides in your hand. Hope, ideally not looking at them, but um, but having them there in case they want to run through it again, but change some things. And um, it's a lot more collaborative in a film audition.
Mhm.
So
So you've transitioned from being a theatrical actor on the stage to an on-screen talent. You've now been on in front of the camera 30 different times, it looks like. What has been the learning experience, your greatest learning experience across all of the shows or movies that you've been on?
the greatest learning experience, I would say, is that it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Hmm.
Um, I know I said it with, I was speaking with somebody else just the other day, but yeah, I mean, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Hmm.
Everybody wants everything to happen right now, right now, right now. Oh, I made a movie, I'm going to be famous. It's not how it works. And I've also realized, because I think some people misinterpret um, being a successful working actor for being famous. There's a huge difference. I mean, you could, if you want to be famous, you could, just go find make some little video that will somehow go viral, be clickbait or whatever. When it comes to acting, it's very tedious. It's a very tedious process. The whole filmmaking process. And so if you don't absolutely love it, then you know it'll drive you nuts.
Hmm.
But if you're like me, who loves every single little aspect of being on set and watching everybody, and and seeing how everybody interacts, and all the little intricacies that a lot of people don't think about, um, you know then that's why you love to do it, and you love to tell. I love jumping into the mind of somebody else for a little while. It's fun. It's
Hmm.
exciting. And being able to create a character just off of words on a page, that's what's fun. But if you're just looking to be famous, I'm sure there's easier ways to do that.
Hmm.
Um, now when you become a successful actor, is there fame that you know comes along with that? Usually yes, but um, you know but there doesn't have to be. I mean, you can look at some of the most successful actors ever. I mean, look at Steve Buscemi. I mean, yes, he's famous, and everybody knows him, but he's not this big A-list actor. He's not huge like like a Robert Downey Jr. or anything like that. But he works all the time, and he's always been working all the time. Um, so that would be the biggest difference. Is just it's a marathon, not a sprint, and make sure you know the difference between on whether you want to be a working actor or just famous.
Yeah. Just a real quick minute to pause and say thank you to our sponsor, Anchor.fm. Yeah. So, what is to you the role that was the most challenging?
um, Mentally or physically?
Let's do both. Let's do
Okay.
both. Yeah.
Physically, I would say the most challenging was Scapegoat,
Okay.
because we had to shoot a fight scene. Well, just yeah. I mean, we filmed it in the middle of the summer out in the woods, here in Michigan, and so it's humid and it's hot, in jeans, shoes with no support, and we're running around all the woods. However, we also had a fight scene that we had to do. It took 11 hours for our or to film this fight scene. That that includes all the choreography and everything, and we all did our own stunts. So, um, so yeah, I walked out of there with a lot of bruises, a lot of a lot of sore muscles. You know, definitely needed a lot of rest after that that shoot. But it was a lot of fun. It was probably the most fun I've had on a set was that day. The most the most challenging mentally, I would say, um, was probably I just filmed a film. It's called the Denny Dooley story. I just filmed part of my part of my scenes, and it takes place in the late '60s and the early '70s, and the character was um, very, very different than anything that I've played before. Um, but yeah, I would say that one was the most mentally challenging because he had a lot of internal emotions going on, but he doesn't speak much. So I have to show that on my face and show that with my body language more. And but yet when he does speak, kind of put on a show at the same time that
Mhm.
that nothing's bothering him. Um, so yeah, so I'd say that one was the most mentally challenging so far.
Hmm. Is there a lot of people say that like you learn the most in application or when you start working, but is there anything from school that you really took and have still used to this day? Any sort of mantra or any sort of you know one thing that I keep is story um, uh, by Robert McKee. That's something that I really reference when I think about making films or anything like that. Is there anything like that for you?
um, not from not from school, but my cousin, so I have a cousin. His name is Michael Harney. He's also an actor, and he's been doing it for a lot longer than I have. And when I say that, I mean he's got a lot of experience, and so he's really been mentoring me quite a bit.
Mhm.
Um, but one thing that he's told me that's kind of stuck with me is because I tend to do this is to stay out of trying to the clean version of it is to stay out of my head. Um, I tend to, I'll tend to get so wrapped up and so tight in my head that I'll overthink things and I'll get antsy and then I'll lose all my patience in terms of moving things forward and stuff. And so he always tells me to just stay the heck out of my head and um, because if you spend way too much time there, then you'll end up you know sticking yourself in some quicksand and you won't be able to get out. So I'd say that's the biggest thing that I've taken with me is I've just always constantly just keep it loose. I mean when I was on the Denny Dooley shoot, so I also sing in that movie because my character he plays I'm the lead singer of this garage hippie band, and there's a song that I had just recorded a demo, for the shoot, and then we're gonna go in and we're gonna record all the music and stuff. Um, but for the whole day, I was pretty nervous because I was supposed to play guitar, but I don't play guitar, and so I was supposed to just basically act like I'm playing the guitar and put on the show because I'm a front man. And and it was funny because when I got to the shoot, I was a little tight. I'm looking over all my lines, looking over the words of the song to make sure I have everything right. And then one of my co-stars, he goes and he pulls out two fishing poles from his car, and because we filmed right by a river there. And so while they were filming another scene and while they're setting up, he was like, "Hey, you want to go fish for a little bit?" I was like, "Yeah, you know what I do." And that allowed me to get out of my mind. That helped me get out of it, everything. And then at that point, I didn't need to look at the words. I didn't need to look at the script again or anything. everything was set, everything was locked in, and I knew everything was. I just wanted to make sure. Um, so yeah, so that was interesting. Is just staying out of your mind, stay out of your head.
Hmm. Do you ever get the chance to do any like improvisation or any off the cuff acting in any of your roles?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mhm,
I love doing that stuff.
mhm,
For Scapegoat especially, it was cool because um, Jeff Kapp, the director, he's very big on collaboration, but he's big on actors letting actors just do their thing. And so when we were on set, a lot of the times what he would do is, he'd say, "Okay, you've got 6 takes for this," and so he would say, "As long as you get at least one take of what's written, um, every other take, just try some things out."
mhm.
And and a lot of the times, and he wouldn't do that with just me. He would do that with a lot of the actors, and a lot of the times, what would come out was, um, you know, might even be better uh, than what was written because. Because we've had time to digest the character, and we've had time to, or Jeff, there'd be times where Jeff would say, we'd be on the day, and he'd be like, you know what? He goes, I don't know if I actually like this line. Try this instead, and he would improv stuff, for us too, and stuff like that. So it was really cool. Um, but yeah, I mean, any chance I can to kind of add to some things, or you know, I'll go to the director and just say, hey, I've got this idea. Do you mind if I try it? Do you mind if I test it out? And if they say yes, go for it, then I will. And if they say nope, we're going to stick to the script, then that's what we do. Um, but it's that's what's fun about film is you have multiple takes, you have time, and you have opportunities to be able to add stuff like that.
Mhm.
So
Cool. So, is there anything that you're currently working on that you would like to promote? I mean, we have a little bit of time left, but anything specific?
yeah, so I'm actually, well, like I said, I've got the Denny Dooley story that will be coming out sometime next year. Uh, we're in the filming process right now. And then Scapegoat will be coming out toward the end of the year or the beginning of the year.
Mm,
And then also right now I've got another project in development with the same creators of Scapegoat. It's called, the working title right now is called Storage. And I'm acting and also producing on it. And so we're in the development stage. We've got the first draft of the script, looking to get the second. I've got a couple meetings about it toward the end of the month. And then there's a short film that I'm doing at the end of the month, in the beginning of September. It's called Debutante. So that'll be a very different character than I've played before as well. So I'm looking forward to that. Um, yeah, and then also I've got my fiance and I have a YouTube channel. It's just Sam and Patrick on YouTube, and we talk about different things, and we vlog and talk about healthy, eat healthy brands that are alternatives to different foods and stuff, and very different from acting, but just kind of a different way to get some of the information that she's really passionate about out there. And we do some challenges, and it's a pretty new channel, but yeah, we're looking to add some more content here coming up. I think by the end of the week, I'm gonna put a new video up. So yeah.
yeah, I just checked out the video you guys about the eight healthy brands you should know or something like that.
hmm
Um, Interesting video. I liked it. You guys got good chemistry on the camera and whatnot. What do you think the importance of social media is in acting these days?
I think I have a very love-hate relationship with social media.
Okay.
I love it in the sense of, it allows you to stay connected with people that you may not be able to see all the time. It allows you to connect with new people. I've met a lot of new film people on, through Facebook and stuff. Um, but I also think it kind of hinders uh, the the mystery that I think a lot of or that I think actors should have. Mystery in the sense of, if you're so accessible and if you're so if people are seeing so much of you as you, then I feel like it can be hard to separate you uh, and the character of whatever they're playing in a film. That's why you go to a movie and you see a lot of these big actors now that are huge on social media. Um, it's kind of hard to separate them from their character. So when you're watching the movie, you see, oh, this is just so and so in this movie, rather than, oh, this is their character. Um, but I mean, people go and people pay money to see that person too. So um, and I think it's cool what people can do with social media in terms of connecting to fans and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't know. I think if people dive too much or too deep into it, then it can kind of become cancerous. But um, as long as you keep a good balance, then I
Mhm.
think everything's fine.
I agree. I think that there's there's with narrative films and whatnot, it can be places where people start to expect the character to show signs of the actual person. For instance, like Dwayne Johnson is probably one of the biggest social media actors out there, and he really doesn't play a bad guy anymore.
Hmm.
Because it doesn't it doesn't align with his character off the screen. Uh, so what do you think about films as they're transitioning away from the theater to online distribution with Netflix, Hulu, and and the and the retention, or maybe the romance to films.
I think I saw an interview with, or I believe it was Brad Pitt for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He was on the red carpet. It was either him or Leo, and they asked him about that. And yeah, it was Leo, and he had said that um, what he loved about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is he said it almost feels like the last big, you know, movie theater film, in the sense of it's meant to be shown in a theater. And um, personally, I think it's sad that that's kind of going away, going to the theater, because that's an experience. It's a night, it's a night out, or to be able to see a movie on a big screen. There are some movies that are meant to be seen on a big screen. I mean, take movies like Interstellar. That movie is not meant to be watched on your laptop. It's so big that you got to see it on a big screen. And so, whereas I think there's a lot of really good movies that are being made on streaming services and such. There's a lot of really really good content, and there's a lot more opportunities for work for actors too, which is really cool. I just hope we never completely get rid of the movie theater experience, because um, you know that's the it's kind of where it all started almost. That's been doing it for so long, and people, like I said, it's an experience. And so when you start to get rid of that and you can just do it at home, because it's also somewhat of a social thing too. For me, I love going to the movies when the theater's packed, because I love hearing, everybody feeds off of each other's energy in terms of reactions to different parts of the movie and such. So if you're just, sitting at home watching it yourself, I don't know. I guess some of that magic goes away,
Mhm.
but that's just me.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I know we're running out of time here, so last but not least, if you had anything that some advice to give aspiring actors, aspiring filmmakers, social media content creators, anything, what would be that piece of advice?
Be patient, and um, don't wait on the business, because the business will leave you short every time. Uh, get some people that are, you know, have the same goals as you, get some like-minded people together in terms of, you know, creativity, and just start making your own stuff. Make,
Mhm.
make your own content, and then just try to get it in front of as many eyes as you can.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Patrick, for coming on the show. For those of you who watch the live video or watching it on YouTube, Facebook, or any sort of video platform, his social media links are below. But for those of you who are listening to the audio podcast, Patrick, would you give some people direction on how to find you, maybe get in contact with you if they want to work with you or want to see
Yeah.
your content?
Yeah. Well, you can find me on IMDb. You can find me on Facebook. You can also find me on Instagram and Twitter. It's at pharns194. So that's PHARNS. There's no E. 194. You can find me on all of those, and then also you can check out our YouTube page. It's Sam and Patrick on YouTube. So yeah, I'm all over social media, and yeah, there's many ways you can find me.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Patrick, for coming on the show again. Look forward to seeing the projects that come out very soon.
Yes, thank you for having me, Trent.